It's New Year's Eve, 2099. You're listening to the BB Come to the Mogul Tandoori and Barnet Sea.
Look back at the future.
This week we're looking back at 2025, the year which saw these terrifying scenes in central London.
Oh my God, they've stormed the building. Fighting has broken out all around me. People are being bludgeoned to the floor. Tables are being turned over. The situation is completely out of control. Oh!
Yes, St. Luke's Church Hall were holding another jumble sale. In January, a geologist discovered a major new oil reserve, large enough to supply Britain for the next 10 years. He was paddling on the beach at Scarborough. But the year began with a shortage of another of the West's most precious commodities, chocolate.
Good evening, I'm Moira Stewart's daughter. The chocolate crisis deepened tonight as all supplies of chocolate disappeared from the shelves, apart from the dairy box line creams. Hardest hit have been the main consumers of chocolate, women on diets. Tonight, the confectionery minister addressed the country.
The days of limitless chocolate are over. We must accept that in the foreseeable future, we will have to banish all thought of chocolate from our mind. Especially those delicious little swirly ones with a walnut on top.
He went on to complain that the chocolate-rich countries are exploiting the present crisis, especially Belgium, which produces over 4/5 of the world's yummiest chocolates.
Thanks to these Belgian chocolate barons, the price of a typical quarter-pound box of Belgian chocolates has soared to £69.20, an increase of nearly 20 pence.
And already there are signs that the shortage of chocolate is affecting television advertisements.
That advert's disgusting.
Yeah, she's obviously just simulating putting a flake in her mouth.
That's the news tonight. I'm off home as it's just occurred to me there may be a couple of old Cocoa Pops under the fridge. Good night.
In February, there was good news when a brand new hospital opened in Romania. At last, Londoners only had to travel 800 miles to the nearest casualty unit. By 2025, computers had become so sophisticated that they started to get human viruses and often phoned in sick with colds and stomach aches. Worse still, people working in offices began to get computer viruses.
So, as you can see, the latest sales figures show that growth in the Guildford area has levelled off and... my head.
What's wrong, Martin?
Oh, it's nothing. I'm just feeling a bit under the weather, a bit... Exclamation mark, GGG, X3, third, stroke, third, error.
Oh, no, Martin's crashed.
Hello, and you join me at the 2025 London to Brighton Vintage Traffic Jam. With me is Mr. Kevin Booth.
Hello.
Kevin, what's it all about then?
Yeah, well, Jane, a number of motoring enthusiasts, such as myself, get together once a year and recreate those classic snarl-ups of the old days.
This is a really beautiful old car you've got here. What's this called, then?
Well, Jane, this is what's called an Austin Allegro. Made about 1986. It laid unnoticed in a garage for 10 years.
Oh, was it abandoned?
No, it was there for a service. Later, when it came into my possession, I lovingly restored it to its original condition.
Oh, how?
Well, I detuned the engine so it made a funny sort of rattling noise. I adjusted the offside door so it didn't quite close properly. And then I made the sunroof leak.
Look, it's even got an original car sticker. My other car's a Porsche. Presumably that was considered very funny in those days.
No.
Come on! Get a move on!
Well, there's someone else getting into the spirit of this vintage rally.
What rally? I've been stuck here since 1989.
The vintage London to Brighton traffic jam of 2025, 2026 and 2027. In May, with church attendances continuing to decline, churches hit on a new way of attracting people in on a Sunday morning. They started selling DIY goods and garnered furniture. Meanwhile, a new wedding hymn was specially commissioned, which would more accurately reflect the congregation's feelings during a marriage service.
At least the hymn's ending, and I can sit down. Oh, Lord, there's yet another verse, and that baby's been sick. That bloke with the camcorders getting on my week. Oh, hang on, it's the ending, which I know anyway. So I'll belt out the last line at the end of the day.
That summer, the government's chief medical officer warned that people were spending too much time lying in their gardens getting a suntan. Yes, there was another rail strike. But the biggest medical story of the year was the news that a leading hospital had pioneered a crucial life-improving operation, ego transplants.
Today is an important day for Jean Trindle, a librarian from Cheam.
Jean, I've got some very good news for you. We found a donor. We'll be giving you a new ego this afternoon.
Oh, no, Doctor. I don't want to be in any trouble. Give it to someone else.
Jean, you need this ego.
No, I don't deserve it. No, I'll just go home and I'll stop being a nuisance.
For Jean, the ego has arrived just in time. The next stage is for the donor to sign the consent form.
I, being a wonderful human being, give permission for my ego to be used to give some worthless person a reason for living by having a part of me in them.
Yes, it's usual just to sign your name. Well, I must say, the X-ray shows you've got a remarkably large and healthy ego.
Yes, of course I have. I'm a remarkable person.
What did you say you did again?
I'm an actor. Surely you recognize me. I was second villain in Shop in the bill.
It's now a week later, and Jean Trindle's ego transplant has been a complete success. Jean, you must be very grateful to the hospital staff and, of course, the donor.
Oh, come on, I'm the one who had the courage to go through with the whole thing. Now, excuse me, I've got to go and buy a personalised number plate for my car.
But how is the donor himself coping, now that over 80% of his ego has been removed?
I still feel marvellous. What a generous and wonderful person I am.
The ego transplant operation, which later that year enabled a record 262 people to receive a new ego, when Edwina Curry volunteered as a donor. In July, there was shame in the world of sport when a rising British star was found guilty of cheating by using a specially made extra-wide cricket bat. He was banned from boxing for 10 years. In August, the American president made a major foreign policy blunder. After mishearing the UN Secretary-General, he finally took action and sent troops into Narnia.
And we can still hear the sound of U.S. mortar fire mopping up the last pockets of resistance in this fictional principality. The invasion began yesterday when several thousand American troops marched into the wardrobe. After suffering early casualties, it emerged that they'd walked into an ordinary wardrobe by mistake. This is Kate 80 for the BBC in Narnia.
Thank you, Kate. I have with me Professor of Fictional Studies at the University of Never Neverland. Professor, we appear to be witnessing a war being waged in a mythical land entered by a wardrobe which is ruled by a snow queen and a talking lion. Isn't it all, frankly, incredible?
Not at all. It was always...
I'll have to stop you, Professor. We've just heard that the UN has successfully negotiated a lasting peace settlement.
Now, that I don't believe.
2025.
In September, documents were released which revealed that during the Second World War, the Commander-in-Chief of the Swiss Army had in fact been passing military secrets to the Germans. He told them what the little pointy blade with a hook was for. Back in Britain, the government was accused of a desperate attempt to play the patriotic card when it decided to commemorate the 50th anniversary of a lesser-known military conflict, the Cod War.
Here in the streets of Grimsby, people have turned out in force to remember the dark days of 1971, when Britain stood alone against the aggression of a mighty fishing power, Iceland. The government having, of course, abandoned its original plans for a haddock-throwing contest in Hyde Park. And now His Majesty steps up to the podium.
Our nation shall never forget those whose boats were slightly scraped in the cause of fish.
And now the crowd falls silent as the fisherman's sweetheart herself takes to the microphone.
We'll fish again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know.
And, of course, Television 2 is commemorating this anniversary with a major historical documentary series.
We present The World at Cod War. (1971), and all over Britain there is a slight shortage of fish. Prime Minister Edward Heath addressed a solemn nation.
This morning I summoned the Icelandic ambassador and told him that unless they put all the fish back, we will have no alternative but to send out a small frigate and shout at them through a megaphone.
Eventually, Britain would emerge triumphant, but not before several weeks of intense and bitter niggling.
The Cod War anniversary, which ended in further controversy when some veterans complained it had been insensitive to invite the cod. That year, psychologists developed a new system designed to test your stress level. It was a self-assembly kitchen unit. But for people who were really unhappy with their lives, help was at hand, thanks to a handy new device.
Fed up with the way your life's turned out? Then you need the new Sony Life Adjuster. Yes, with this ingenious machine, you can go back in time and change those decisions you've lived to regret.
Do you, Mandy Williams, take this man, Barry Trent, to be your lawful wedded husband?
Otto.
Whoops! Never mind, Mandy. With your Sony Life Adjuster, you can go back and get that moment right.
Do you, Mandy Williams, take this man, Barry Trent, to be your lawful wedded husband?
No, bloody well done, Barry, you soon-to-be fat bastard.
Ideal for those missed opportunities.
Oh, Mandy, tomorrow your skiing holiday is over.
Ah.
But tonight, let me give you a massage and make passionate love to you on the rug in front of the fire.
Oh, no, Pierre, I can't. I'm a married woman. It wouldn't be right.
Uh-oh, Mandy. Try that moment again with your Life Adjuster.
Me give you a massage and make passionate love to you on the rug in front of the fire.
Oh, I'll get the baby oil.
This amazing device works even for the biggest mistakes of your life.
Here's your ballot paper, Miss Williams. The booth's over there.
I know they haven't got a single thing right yet, but I'll just give them Tories one more chance.
Not with a Sony Life Adjuster, you won't.
The Sony Life Adjuster, which had an extra selling point, when you got bored with it, you could go back in time and decide not to buy one. In 2025, the world of music was taken by storm by a dynamic new soul sound that came out of the back streets of Telford, Bracknell and Milton Keynes. It became known as Tamla Newtown. That October, Radio 4 made a decision to allow gratuitous swearing for the first time, which was a good idea. Meanwhile, the days of the week were updated to give them more appropriate names.
As from next month, the days of the week will be as follows: Moan Day, Dull Day, Yawn Day, Skive Day, Pay Day, My Head Day, and Sex Day.
However, the new names of the week were abandoned after women complained they kept mixing up Sex Day with Yawn Day. That year saw a fierce debate over the rights and wrongs of cloning, with accusations that scientists had gone beyond the bounds of acceptable morality. They had cloned Jim Davidson. In spite of this setback, cloning technology had progressed to the extent that it could be used commercially.
Now, DNA Duplicates Limited can offer you the ultimate in cloned personnel. For the first time, you can have any figure from history working for your company. From a power-mad dictator as head of acquisitions and mergers...
Barrington Plastic Extrusions Limited is historically part of amalgamated holdings!
To a dogged war leader on gatehouse security.
You will never park in the executive car park without a signed note from Kevin Parsons in Technical Services.
Your most complex problems could be solved by Albert Einstein.
Let's see. A3 colon over J19 plus 3 dots. Yes, of course. That's it.
What?
It means paper jammed in photocopier feed tray.
DNA duplicates for all your office needs and more.
Hi, I'm home.
Hi, Sugar. I want to be loved by you. Boo-boo-be-doo.
Oh, I'll get the cocoa on.
However, the Marilyn Monroe clone was later withdrawn after customers kept finding her in bed with the John F. Kennedy clone. But transport was progressing with the introduction that year of long-haul interplanetary passenger flights. The only drawback was the journey time.
This is Captain Evans welcoming you aboard this British Spaceways flight to Neptune. Well, it's all looking very clear up ahead, no problems, so we should be arriving in Neptune Airport in about 25 years' time. The weather there is a bit chilly, I'm afraid. Minus 400 degrees, 1 or 2 hydrogen ice storms, but still more pleasant than Heathrow at this time of year. So I'll hand you over to our chief stewardess.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment we will be commencing the in-flight entertainment. For the first 5 years, we'll be showing Mr. Bean. The one where he gets stuck in a pillar box. If there are any children aboard, please notify the cabin crew, who will be pleased to give them a fun pack, basic education, and later on their first sexual experience. We do hope you enjoy your flight.
Flight BS 417, which unfortunately developed engine trouble just outside Neptune and had to turn back to Heathrow. In December, English Heritage made the National Theatre a Grade 1 listed building. It was a desperate attempt to get the Department of Transport to build a road through it. But 2025 will, of course, chiefly be remembered as the year that saw the nation torn asunder by the Second English Civil War. It began when a left-wing government swept to power, led by a charismatic Prime Minister.
People of Britain, my government will immediately seize the stock exchange and turn it into an under-5s adventure playground. We will abolish the House of Lords and turn it into an old people's home. Well, we'll keep it as an old people's home anyway. And finally, we will requisition the Hotel Yatishuto and turn it back into the headquarters of the GLC.
But the most controversial part of Prime Minister Livingstone's manifesto was his radical anti-royalist policy.
As from tomorrow, all royal assets will return to public ownership. The royals will no longer appear on stamps. They will no longer appear on banknotes. And they will certainly not appear on 2.5-hour documentaries being cut to by Jonathan Dimbleby.
Relations between Parliament and the monarchy deteriorated. The weekly tea-time meetings between the Prime Minister and the reigning monarch, King Charles III, were fraught with tensions.
I'm afraid, Mr. Livingstone, the answer is a categorical no.
It's what I want, and I am the elected representative of this country.
You cannot ride roughshod over the wishes of the monarch.
The final decision lies with the Prime Minister.
All right. You have the custard cream, and I'll have the blood indigestion.
Matters worsened when the government announced that from now on no one would have to pay £8 to get into Buckingham Palace, apart from members of the royal family. And King Charles complained that security had been lax when, during a speech at the Guildhall, eggs were thrown at him by the Home Secretary. Royal privileges continued to be reduced, and the crisis came to a head at that year's state opening of Parliament.
And you join us outside Westminster as we await the ceremonial arrival of the King. And here he comes now on the number 53 bus.
There's the Parliament.
Sorry I'm late. 3 went past completely full up.
And now the King enters the chamber to read out the government's policies for the next parliamentary session.
Right. My government will give me back all my palaces and my fishing rod and the whole of Cornwall, apart from that happy eater outside Padstow. Oh, yes, and there'll be a special tax on newts.
Oi, I never wrote that. Arrest the King!
Oh, damn, they've rumbled me. I'd better leg it.
The Second English Civil War had begun. King Charles fled to the provinces and took refuge in a humble country inn.
Hello. Have you ever been to a harvester before?
Right. Now, to rally the royalist forces. Who's on our side, King Mother?
Well, Charles, the cream of the British aristocracy, and they'll be here at any moment.
Hi, like the Marquis of Blandford at your service.
Oh, I'm surprised they gave him parole.
Duke of Kent reporting for duty.
And what can you do for us?
Well, I'll be presenting the winner of the Civil War with a little silver trophy, shaking their hand and saying, "Jolly well done."
Oh, dear. What on earth can we do now, Mother?
Well, it's obvious. Let's help ourselves to as much as we like from the salad cart.
The next day, the two armies advanced towards each other on Naseby Heath. Barely 50 yards apart, they stopped, unable to cross the four-lane dual carriageway. But eventually, battle began.
Quick, they're attacking on our flank. Send in the infantry.
We don't need to, Ken, actually. We're 10 points ahead in the opinion polls. All we have to do now is organise a rally in Sheffield.
Yes? I think we've been here before.
Meanwhile, the Royalists were having problems of their own.
Who the hell are you?
We are the Dudley Second Civil War Reenactment Society.
Well, you could at least wait until we finish the bloody battle.
Soon it was all over. The Marquis of Blandford lay on the battlefield, eyes staring lifelessly ahead. For him, a normal Tuesday morning. Meanwhile, King Charles was captured and taken to St. James's Palace to meet his fate.
Oh, it's awful. I can't bear it.
Have courage, Your Highness.
It's that dreadful post-modernist scaffolding you've put up. It clashes with the Jacobean facade.
I'm afraid it's time to meet your executioner.
Whoever you are beneath that black hood, I forgive you.
Oh, yeah, thanks a lot, Charles.
Hold on, stop.
What?
I've just remembered I'm against the death penalty.
And so the execution was cancelled, and instead the king was banished to a remote Scottish island, condemned to spend the rest of his life as a total recluse. Yes, it was just like the old days. Thereafter, Britain was ruled by Prime Minister Livingstone, or the Lord Protector of the Commonwealth, as he preferred to be called. At last, Britain had thrown off the shackles of royalty.
At Christmas, one's thoughts turn to the Commonwealth. Oh, and by the way, I'm not happy with these new stamps. They got my moustache all wrong.
Lord Protector Livingstone, who then went on to make a 2.5-hour documentary with Jonathan Dimbleby. Next week, we'll be looking back at 2099. Goodbye.
A Look Back at the Future was presented by Brian Perkins. It starred Nigel Planer and Kate Robbins with Ken Livingstone and the writers Mark Burton, John O'Farrell and Pete Sinclair. The producer was Caroline Leddy. Thank you. Look back at the future.
It's New Year's Eve 2099. You're listening to the BB. If you'd like to advertise in this space, contact Keith in our sales department. C.
Look back at the future.
This week we're looking back at 2099, the year that the people of Earth heard this announcement.
Citizens, at last we have created the optimum environment for human existence. The climate and atmosphere are perfectly controlled. We have eliminated all need for independent thought.
Yes, they were still advertising holidays in Centre Parks. Meanwhile, in the polluted streets of Britain, beggars fought over piles of decaying rubbish. Packs of wild dogs hunted for rats as armed vigilantes made their way between the burning shells of abandoned cars. But there was some hope. The government had set up a collapse of society hotline so you could ring and complain about it. However, in 2099, life in a typical London suburb, such as Cornwall, was still much the same. And as ever, life was getting more and more expensive.
Good evening. I'm not Moira Stewart. I'm just a newsreader who sounds like her. The water companies have been criticised again after their decision to introduce extra charges for hose pipes, garden ponds, and having dew on your lawn in the morning. Consumers have reacted angrily to the new bills.
Well, it's a disgrace. I'm being charged £7.50 a quarter for the damp patch in my kitchen, plus a £25 puddle charge every time it rains. It makes you want to spit. Only I can't afford it.
With me as the chairman of South West Water, Sir Nigel, you made £378 million before tax in the first quarter of this year.
My salary may seem high to some, I know. But it has to be viewed in the context of the enormous expenses I incur.
And what are they?
Well, I have a shower every morning.
Turning to you, Mr. Tremlett, you're head of the powerful body set up to monitor the water companies known as What Use. Are you going to take action over these new charges?
We already have. I rang them up and left a message on their answering machine, and I'm seriously thinking about writing a letter to the local paper.
I'd rather you didn't.
All right, then.
That's all for now, although we've just heard that What Use is so wet they're going to be charged another £100 a quarter. Good night.
By the end of the 21st century, everyone in the world spoke English, apart from people who sold endowment mortgages. However, the English and American dialects had become so far removed from each other that a special language cassette was released.
Hello. Welcome to Let's Speak American, or...
Hey, wise guy, talk my language, will you?
To begin, here are some common American words, followed by their English translations.
Faucet.
Tap.
Sidewalk.
Pavement.
Trash.
American television programs.
Now let's move on to some useful phrases and their English equivalents. In the restaurant...
Hey, waiter, this goddamn steak is too small.
Translates as...
Don't make a fuss, dear. Let's just eat up and go.
In the town...
Gee, honey, let's have a look round this quaint, historic English building.
Becomes...
Come on, dear. Let's have a look round the Arndale Centre.
At the conference...
The United Nations has resolved to send troops to the area.
Or in English...
Whatever you say, Mr. President.
However, a senior professor of English at Cambridge University condemned the tape, saying that teaching people to talk like Americans was a bad idea, period. In February, following the continuing success of the Home Shopping Channel, a TV company came up with a new idea, the Home Shoplifting Channel. You could ring up and order the item of your choice, then they would go round to the Home Shopping Channel and nick it for you. Over on BBC One, meanwhile, some long-running programmes were still going strong, even in 2099.
Hello, and this week we've brought the Antiques Roadshow to Cheltenham. So let's see what the good people of this charming town have turned up for us. Now, this is a beautiful piece, late 20th century and in perfect condition. Would you have any idea what this is, madam?
No, I haven't.
Well, it's an original washing powder ball. You see, rather than putting the powder into the tray, what they used to do was put it into this little ball here and then place it in the middle of the wash.
Well, what was the point of that, then?
None whatsoever. Frank?
No, I haven't seen one of these for a while. This is an ingenious little device for flinging charcoal into the air.
What's it called?
A toaster. Was it by any chance a wedding present?
That's right, for my grandmother.
Well, it's probably part of a pair, then. There may even be 5 or 6 of them if you look in the attic.
Now, over here we've got a fine example of what was called a television remote control unit. Oh, it's lovely. It must be at least 100 years old. Tell me, where did you find it?
It was down the back of the sofa.
Well, let's finish off with this quaint little object. It's a compact disc.
Would you have any idea what it's worth?
Well, we could be talking in the region of about £20,000.
Oh, it's gone down in value then.
2099.
That March, there was increased concern about the use of drugs in athletics when an American set an astonishing new 400 metres record in the high jump. Meanwhile, international athletics meetings were being brought up to date, with new events being added to reflect the changing nature of modern athletics.
Hello, welcome to Crystal Palace, where the competitors are lining up for the opening event, the crucial disqualifier, to see who will be the first athlete to get sent home in disgrace.
Yes, indeed, and it's a pretty impressive lineup. Lane 1, the Canadian sprinter, hoping to fail a urine test for the third year running. Lane 2, the Italian outsider, who only qualified for this event after bribing a judge. And in Lane 3, with high hopes of being disqualified for failing a new sex change test, it's the big, bearded Brazilian. And good luck to her. They're taking their positions, and... Goodness me, that's a brilliant start by the Italian. He shot the starter. That's an immediate disqualification.
Exciting stuff there, but now let's go straight over to the indoor arena.
And we're watching the reigning world champion as he steps up onto the mat, hoping to break his own record. Takes a deep breath and prepares himself. And there he goes, bending down, every muscle in his body straining. And he's done it, and that is the tightest pair of Lycra shorts ever put on by an athlete.
But now, down in the gymnasium, they're about to start the most eagerly awaited event of the championships, the freestyle Think of a Number contest.
And here come the results now.
5.8, 5.8, 5.9, 5.4, 6...
And the Germans have done it again. They've thought of a magnificently high number, a perfect 6. But a disappointing performance by the British team there. They could only manage to think of 5.4. Only this morning at their practice session they thought of 5.8, but on the big occasion, the high numbers just didn't come to them.
The 2099 International Athletics Championship, at which Britain walked away with 8 golds in the Stealing a Medal event. That Waitangi Day, which was a full moon, a public holiday in New Zealand, and 2 days before Rogation Sunday, it was the annual conference of diary publishers. Later that same month, the world of classical music was stunned by the discovery of a 300-year-old manuscript in an attic in Vienna. It was the remainder of Schubert's Unfinished Symphony.
And you join us at the Royal Albert Hall, where we're eagerly awaiting for the first ever performance of the final movement of Schubert's newly renamed Finished Symphony. And now, with the audience on a knife edge, we're about to find out how this musical genius intended his masterpiece to be resolved.
Shortly after that performance, the manuscript was discreetly returned to the attic, along with all Ben Elton's novels, for good measure. By 2099, genetic engineering had progressed to the point where parents could not only choose the sex of their child, but also its height, the colour of its eyes, and at what age it would start slamming doors and saying, "I hate you." Meanwhile, women's continual struggle to stay young meant new medical techniques were being pioneered by private clinics.
Now, what seems to be the problem, Mrs. Parsons?
Well, recently, Doctor, I've been feeling tired and listless, a bit depressed. I've even lost interest in sex.
Yes, this is quite common in women of your age. What I usually recommend in these cases is a course of HRT treatment.
HRT?
Yes, husband replacement therapy. A lot of famous women have had it. Britt Eklund, Princess Anne, Elizabeth Taylor. She has it 3 or 4 times a year.
What does it involve?
Well, what we do is remove the old husband. They're usually a little bloated, not functioning too well, maybe spending less time on you and more time pottering around the greenhouse in a cardigan. And then we give you a brand new one, like John Pierre here.
Enchanté, madame. You are so beautiful. Your eyes are like twinkling stars. Let us go to the beach and, as the waves crash against the shore, we will make passionate love.
Oh, I feel better already. I mean, how long does this course last?
2 weeks. Then he dumps you for the aerobics instructor.
In May, a local council replaced all their dustmen with tiger worms, which ate their way through household rubbish. However, the scheme was eventually abandoned when people who forgot to tip the worms at Christmas found rubbish regurgitated all over their front lawn. For the middle classes of 2099, it became the fashion to buy houses that had been restored in the 1980s and restore them back to their original pre-restored look.
And this is the lounge. Of course, they had knocked it through into one big room, but as you can see, we've partitioned it off into 2 little pokey ones.
Oh, where did you get those darling polystyrene ceiling tiles?
Oh, yeah. They're the original flammable ones.
You've even got one missing, just like they would have done, with the yellow glue showing.
You've done so much.
Oh, do come upstairs and have a look. Now, when we bought the house, can you imagine it? They'd stripped off the stone cladding.
How ghastly.
Yeah, of course we put it all back, as well as the carport with the corrugated plastic roof. And this is the pièce de résistance. We've unconverted the loft.
Back at the future.
In 2099, the average family had 4 televisions, 3 videos, 6 camcorders, and a father who was a burglar. Meanwhile, in the city, financial crime was also on the increase. As the methods used became ever more sophisticated, it was sometimes difficult for the police to grasp the complexities of the crime.
Right, nobody move.
Thanks for coming, officer. Now, we've called you in because someone from our commodities sector has been skimming the remainders fund, selling currency forward on the international markets and then buying it spot fixed overnight.
Right. So we got him through that skylight, did he?
No, it's not a break-in, officer. We're talking about a dealer who has access to the forward reserve assets, either here, Hong Kong or Wall Street. We just don't know.
Right. Can you describe what he was wearing? Bomber jacket and jeans?
I don't think you've quite got it, officer. It's a question of going through the management account information.
Yeah, unless they keyed into the IFCC.
Hold on, one at a time. Now, did anyone see the getaway car?
There is no getaway car.
Oh, so he legged it with the cash, did he?
No, there's no real money as such, officer.
Oh, so it's counterfeit.
It's just theoretical figures. It's just money in a computer somewhere.
You keep your money in a computer? You don't want to hide it in there, sir. That's the first thing they'll nick.
Eventually, the city fraudster was caught and told by the judge that because of the enormity of his crime, he would languish in prison for the rest of his day. That June, the Department of Trade and Industry announced details of a special enterprise zone where businesses could flourish with the help of technology and government investment. It was called Japan. Meanwhile, in Britain, the last industrial heritage museum closed down, but in order that future generations could remember what they were like, they opened a special Heritage Museum.
Come to the Heritage Museum and see what it would really like to be an ex-steel worker forced to take a job in a crappy historical theme park.
At the Heritage Museum, no detail has been overlooked in our efforts to recreate that disappointing feeling of paying £5 to look at 2 wax models of Victorian miners.
Pick up an information phone and hear the history of heritage museums narrated by a real out-of-work actor.
The first ever Heritage Museum opened in Ironbridge in Shropshire. Families came from miles around to marvel at the unconvincing sound effects.
Hooray! Hooray!
The Heritage Museum. It's the ultimate replica of Britain's industrial history.
So it's being closed down next week.
By 2099, life expectancy was higher than ever, except for people who ate at mobile burger vans. The increased longevity meant that 80% of people in Britain were now pensioners. Soon, this powerful new majority was exerting its influence on society.
Good evening. The House of Commons today debated the government's controversial Abolition of All These Newfangled Things bill. This report from Martin Davis.
In a packed house today, backbenchers knitted furiously as the Prime Minister, 82-year-old Mrs. Edna Thurkettle, briefly discussed the new bill, but soon went on to talk about her daughter who lives in Canada, saying, "My eldest daughter, that is, the one who's married to a German engineer, well, half German, mind you, it's very nice in Canada, although it does get a bit cold." At this point, the opposition leader interjected and said, "Cold, yes."
Motoring news now. The AA has again called for the speed limit to be increased to 12 miles an hour. Meanwhile, Mrs. Thurkettle's government is to introduce new road traffic offences, which include not wearing a hat, using a car on a weekday, and driving without adequate boiled sweets. And now let's go to our city desk for the latest financial news.
A lot of movement in the money markets today, with savings being taken out of teapots and hidden under the mattress. On the old money, new money index, old money, still much better. And finally, news on the 5p piece, it's just too small and fiddly.
That's all for now. We'll be back for the late night news at 8:30.
By 2099, the British Library was so short of space that all the most successful books of each century had to be combined into one volume, with titles such as Watership Down and Out in London and Brighton Rock Work Oranges Are Not the Only Catch-22 in the Rye New World of Sport Annual 1984. Similarly, in the music section, all the great female singers of the 20th century were digitally recreated on one recording. And after much debate, a decision was reached as to who should be included.
Voices of the 20th century.
I'm Aretha Franklin. I had to be first choice.
And I'm Randy Crawford. They like my wobbly voice. You've simply got to have Julie Andrews to bring a touch of class.
And of course, Maria Callas. But look out for that ghost.
They said, Zilla, Chuck, sing quietly, and we'll let you do a bit. For a call out singing loudly, and my voice gets worse and worse.
Voices of the 20th century, preserved on tape for you.
The greatest singers of all time, and Sarah Brightman too.
Someone from the 50s, oh, it's good old Doris Day.
And Kate Bush was singing weirdly, but Julie, come and take me away, away.
I'm Bonnie Tyler, you've heard all my hits.
And my name is Madonna, and you've all seen my book. Victoria Wood shouldn't be in this song, 'cause it don't seem like a dream. But I might just give you a giggle with me Jacob's custard cream.
Singers of the 20th century,
long since dead and gone.
Apart from Tina Turner, I'm 161. I still wear this many skirts.
Singers of the 20th century,
but there's one who's truly great.
Yes, but one didn't start one's pop career till 1998. Oh, do you think I'll make top of the pops, Steve?
That month, 75,000 people were packed into Stamford Bridge. Yes, Barrett's had bought it and converted it into flats. Meanwhile, more and more women were becoming interested in football. Soon, football commentary had to change to reflect the way that many women watched the game.
Hello and welcome back to the second half of this Italy-Brazil international. And what about that first half, Steve? That Roberto Benigni, for my money, he is absolutely gorgeous. And you have to say, those thighs of his, talk about glistening.
Yeah, the Italians have got nice legs, Tony, but that Lopez is the one for me. Look at that lovely bum.
Lopez? Oh, how can you like him? It's Benigni for me every time. Sex on legs or what?
No, I'm sorry, Tony, but Benigni's married with 2 kids. That completely spoils it for me.
Oh, it's a penalty. Oh, no, Benigni's taking it. I can't look. Oh, he's missed it. Oh, love him. He's crying. Don't you just want to give him a hug?
Look back at the future.
That November saw a massive mountain rescue operation on the Moon when 2 experienced lunar climbers lost their footing at 15,000 feet. They were later found 2 miles further up, clinging to a space station. 2099 was the year that mankind finally made contact with extraterrestrials. Incredibly, the so-called Deltons were biologically identical to human beings in every way, except for one slight difference. They had a complete lack of sensitivity.
On behalf of the people of Earth, we welcome you on this historic occasion for our 2 civilizations.
I return your greetings, but tell me, do all the males of your species possess such an ugly and misshapen nose?
I beg your pardon?
And who is this woman in the ill-fitting clothes?
I'm Dr. Whitburn. I represent the scientists of Earth.
A doctor, and yet you do not seem to have mastered the simple technique of removing that unsightly facial hair from above your lip.
Yes. Children, why don't you present our visitor with the pictures you've drawn?
Did you do these, children? They are patently dreadful. You have clearly wasted your time. This gift is of no value to us whatsoever. Tell me, are these talentless children yours?
No, my children are with their mother.
Ah, your wife has left you. No doubt she could no longer put up with your repellent nose.
Sadly, the Deltons soon perished when it was recommended that they pay a visit to the Dog and Bottle pub in Leeds to have a good laugh at the funny accents they would hear there. But the visit of the aliens paled into insignificance when set against the apocalyptic events which were about to engulf the planet. It began when a huge meteorite smashed into the Earth, destroying much of Essex. But it wasn't all good news. The impact was so great that it reversed the Earth's rotation with one dramatic consequence. A meeting of world leaders was called.
I have to tell you, the time is now going backwards.
What is this terrible news?
I have some terrible news.
Why have you called us here?
Can I have your attention, everyone?
Yes, time was indeed going backwards. Scientists had just 24 hours to sort out the problem. Luckily, the next day they had 48 hours. And so it went on. As sure as spring turns into winter, life was happening in reverse. People soon adjusted, although the typical day was very different.
Midnight. Better get up.
Come on, love. You're carrying lagers on the table.
Just coming! Right, just drop out in front of the late-night movie, then I'll get down the pub and sober up before I go to work.
As time reversed back through the 1990s, the Berlin Wall went back up, and worse still, Graham Taylor was reappointed as England manager. But for one family, things were looking up.
Mother, Diana and I have decided not to live separately. We're going to have a strained marriage for a while and then fall in love.
Oh, Charles, another royal couple getting back together. It's marvellous. The royal family is getting more popular every day.
And there was progress in other areas. David Bowie's albums got better and better. Keith Chegwin's career went from strength to strength. And television programs suddenly improved when Carlton ceased to exist. But the greatest changes were on the political front.
Good night, that was the weather. And now here is the news. The Conservative government today unveiled a controversial new policy.
This government will open Britain's first 30 coal mines. We will create prosperous northern communities and give Britain an industrial base.
We'll be back at the same time yesterday. Hello.
As time passed through the 80s, the economy improved, unemployment fell, and by 1979, the country was in a pretty good shape. The world continued to race through history, back past the French Revolution.
On with his head!
Past Christopher Columbus.
Hooray! We've forgotten where America is!
Past the Norman Conquest.
Ooh, my eye feels much better.
Back, spiralling through the mists of time, until... Yes, time had come full circle, and we were back in present-day Essex. Scientists explained that time was in fact elliptical and not constructed on a unidimensional linear plane. People nodded and looked at them blankly. But whatever the explanation, the fabric of time had been restored, and scientists assure us that such an incredible phenomenon could never happen again. Again happen never could phenomenon, incredible and such that us assure scientists and by good.
Future the Outback Look A by presented was Perkins Brian. Dennis Hugh and Robbins Kate starred it. Writers there with Burton Mark, O'Farrell John and Sinclair Pete. Leddy Caroline was producer there.